Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of The Shooting Show. We certainly want to welcome you to today's program. And tell you what, friends, here in Louisiana, we've been talking about in last week's program. We actually had a slow rain that day, and we've had a terrible drought here in the south, and probably we're sort of mid-south or southwest here in Louisiana. But we're so thankful for the rain. However, my glasses are fogging up. It's such a nice day to be out here on the range. We appreciate so much you joining us on our shooting show today. And also, we want to say a word to the internet viewers. We're getting more and more internet viewers from literally all over the world, and we hope that you folks from other countries, certainly if you can understand English, we hope that our message is clear, that we as Americans are responsible people, and certainly gun ownership is a right that was not granted by our Constitution. It was a right that was affirmed by our Constitution. You know, friends, our Constitution here in the United States is in the greatest danger it has been in since the Revolutionary War. Absolutely, since probably the War of 1812 when the British were attacking. But I think even the Revolutionary War here in this country. Because when the war between the states was going on, the Confederacy had the same Constitution essentially as the United States Constitution. And it was certainly a family fight that honestly was not as serious toward affecting our rights as Americans as what happened in the Revolutionary War and is happening today, friends. Things are serious. You know, we've been talking about what we can do as citizens. We've been on the NRA pretty hard for the past, several weeks, maybe a month. We've been on them pretty hard because the NRA is a large enough organization. NRAC, as I would say, is a large enough organization to really get some things done. With a budget, someone told me with a little inside track this past week, the NRA's budget per year, counting the endowments and all the other things that they do, is around $200 million a year. Now, wait a minute, friends. $200 million a year, and the NRA has not won a single battle. In fact, Wayne LaPierre helped write the Brady Bill, which is nothing short of outrageous. We as Americans should not be subjected to a search of our background because we want to own a gun. You see, this is a very recent thing in our American culture. Just the last few years has this thing been put upon us, and we know why. It was to get us used to, get us ready for the background check on anything, not just handguns, but black powder rifles, on shotguns like this jungle gun from Mossberg. We know what it's about, friends. It was an incremental increase in regulation to prepare us for asking permission from the government to own a gun. Now, our Constitution was put in place not to restrain us as Americans. Our Constitution was put in place to restrain government. And we've said before, we can make a difference. And one of the things that I think is a problem, and you know, if one of the people from the NRA wants to come on our program, NRAC, if they'd like to come on our program and defend themselves, heck, I'll give them the time. That's fine. Let them come on the show and see if they can defend their positions. But you see, here's what a lot of people think. We've sent all this money, and yes, I've helped raise a lot of money for the NRA in past years. We send all this money to a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington, in the NRA, and nothing happens. We keep losing battles. We keep, now we're faced this fall with a NICS check, National Instant Check System, whereas for the first time in our history, we have to have permission from the government to buy a gun. You see, we keep sending all this money to the NRA, and they keep losing. Well, if there's a horse out there, and you keep betting on the same horse, and the same horse continues to lose, well, shouldn't we examine the horse or examine the rider? I think that the NRA has some wonderful potential. But I'm asking myself, what are the riders doing? I don't understand this. You know, I think more probably we do understand from this point. We have people running the NRA, in my opinion, that are not shooters. Heck, may not even be gun owners, some of them. They don't understand what it's about. They're lobbyists. They're politicians. They're lobbyists. And they're being paid fantastic sums of money. And we said on last week's radio program, and I think it bears repeating now. You know, personally, I don't know much about shrimping. That's where you go catch the shrimp in the Gulf of Mexico and some other places. I don't know much about that. I mean, yeah, I've been out on a boat a time or two, and have seen the Gulf of Mexico a few times, and I've eaten a lot of shrimp, but I don't know anything about catching shrimp. I don't know. I mean, because that's not my background. I've had no experience in it. Okay, but you know what? If somebody came along and they offered me a position, paid me about $200,000 a year, like some of those folks get at the NRA in Washington, and they said, Johnny, would you represent these shrimpers? You've eaten shrimp before. Yeah, well, I've eaten a lot of shrimp. Yeah. Would you go to Washington and would you represent the shrimping industry for, we'll pay you $200,000 a year and who knows what else? I'd say, whoa, wait a minute. A lot of you would say the same thing. Say, hey, I might have to consider that. $200,000 a year, so I'm going to represent shrimping. Well, once I got in that position, since I don't know much about shrimping, and the anti-shrimping people said, look, we're going to have to cut back the catch this year. We just can't, I don't know, somebody doesn't like some brand of shrimp or there's some reason, we'll just have to cut it back. And since I don't know anything about shrimping, I'm not really committed to shrimping, I never owned a shrimp boat, never been on a shrimp boat, I'd say, well, okay, well that sounds reasonable. Heck, they still get to catch half of it, don't they? That ought to be enough for anybody. Half that much shrimp, well, you know, that'd be okay. And I have just compromised the entire shrimping industry while not really understanding what it's about. Now then, friends, I'm saying that this is a similar problem to what we have at the NRA in Washington. You've got people up there that are not dedicated users. There are some good people on the board, but let me tell you what, their hands are tied by the politicians and the people that have other causes like lining their own pockets and keeping that position and getting to go to the congressmen's houses and hang around and have drinks and whatever else they have. They like that, you see, those good jobs. But meanwhile, while that staff, while those people are having fun, you know, we're losing our rights to own guns in our country. Now you tell me, an organization of 2.8 million people, hey friends, that's pretty good. 2.8 million people is over 1% of the population of the United States. We got about 260 million people. All right, for example, let's look at a group of people, a minority group in our population. Let's take the homosexual. They're less than 1% of the population. And you look what they have done for their group around the country. And my goodness, they've got most of the Christian churches, everybody in the country nobody's for homosexuality, but you know what? They stood up and they worked real hard and they got in those positions, and look what they've done with less than 2.8 million people in the country. So see, we have to look and say, wait a minute, whoa. Look, something's wrong here, something's wrong. And I hope the NRA can solve that problem, but you know what? In the past, so many of us said, well, we shouldn't make waves, we got to remain united. Well, we're losing. We're losing the battle. So let's take a look at the doggone rider on the horse, friends. That's all I can say. You know, here on our project, costs us right now, our raw costs, no phone bill, no nothing, just satellite costs, editing costs put together, is about $60,000 a year. You know, we reach more new shooters in a week's time than all the publications that are on magazine stands do in months. We reach more new people and show them how guns work and how they're properly used. And, you know, if we just had $1 million budget, if we had 1/200th of what the NRA has, what in the world could we do here through the shooting show? Think about it. Well, a lot of people in the industry we know are scared to death. A lot of manufacturers are scared to death that the government's going to come down on them. That's why we've had as much difficulty gaining sponsors from the industry as we have. There are a few brave souls out there in the industry, but they're so afraid of the government. Realize that government control has gotten into almost every area of American life. And you know what it would take for a gun manufacturer to be put out of business? Some government official somewhere saying, hey, well, you know, they're talking bad about us. They're supporting someone who is telling the truth about the shenanigans we're doing, so let's pull their license. Let's go down to the factory and let's examine them. So, you know, I tell you what they'd do. If it happens to anybody that's worked with us, we're going to tell everybody on the radio, we're going to tell everybody on the internet, we're going to tell everybody on this program just what they've done. So we're going to try and have, if somebody tries to give our sponsors any trouble, that's fine, we'll fight back. We will inform everybody of who's trying to do what. I think this is very important. We have to hang together as gun owners, or surely, friends, quoting that one of the founding fathers, we shall all hang separately if we don't hang together now. I hope that our message gets through to the people who are not doing their job at the National Rifle Association. I hope it does. You know, I don't care, friends. They can get mad at me. I flatly don't care, you know, because somebody has got to tell the truth. You know, recently, no thanks to the organized news media, we were able, you and I and some other folks around the country were able to get Presidential Executive Order 13083 stopped for now. Now, let me tell you something. This is a copy of the New American Magazine. This is one of the finest news magazines in the entire country that exists. And they clarify, you know, we talked about that Clinton tried to slip this under. He was in England when he signed it. They tried to slip it through. And Congressman David McIntosh, a Republican from Indiana, chairman of the Subcommittee on National Economic Growth, some other stuff, found out about it as soon, or pretty soon after it was signed. But let me tell you what, friends, they're trying to do away with the 10th Amendment, that amendment that says those powers not specifically delegated to the federal government should be left up to the states and the local people. So they're trying to nullify that. Now, our thought has been, if they can cancel the 10th Amendment, what's going to stop Clinton and his entourage of criminals? What's going to stop them from canceling the First Amendment, freedom of speech, or the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms in our country? See, if he can get one through, if he can knock out one amendment, he can do number two. Now, this 13083 also had another little deal under their definition of federalism. Now, this is from Representative Collins. He said, quote now, the president could implement the provisions of the United Nations Kyoto Climate Treaty through executive department and agency regulations. That's that goofy global warming treaty where Al Gore wants to take us all out of cars. Oh, let me tell you what, they got to get the guns. They start taking people out of cars. They're going to have to, where they want us to put us back in a Stone Age type existence of hunter-gatherers. That's what they have in mind. He could do that and get away with it. The International Obligations Clause would allow this without Senate ratification. They could get it through without the Senate even being involved. See, friends, he could end run the whole process up there. Okay, there's more. Another very realistic possibility, continued Representative Collins, is that under the Interstate Activities Clause, and you've heard Judge talk about that on the program, criminal law and gun control measures could be implemented by the Justice Department, usurping the powers of both the states and the Congress. In other words, as soon as Clinton got the nerve up, he says, you know, by executive order, let's go pick the guns up. We got all these United Nations troops here in the country. The United Nations will help us. Let's go pick the guns up. Now, friends, that's what he possibly could try and do. Not only just stop us from buying them through a blanket denial under this NICS check this fall, but under this 13083, and I don't know if they're going to try and come back with it or what. We don't know yet. We need to stay on our congressman about it. But literally, Clinton could wake up one day and say, let's go get them. Let's go pick the guns up, because we know what's best for these people. You know what, friends? I don't think that Bill Clinton knows what's best for my dog, much less for me. And I tell you what, friends, if these people are not stopped, if they're not stopped, and we still have the Congress, we still have people around this country who can stop them without violence. We're not advocating violence, but they've got to be stopped. One way that you can help, and that's to keep us on the air. You know, our sponsors are part of our effort here, but they can't nearly enough do everything that it costs us to be on the air. We're on the air because of you out there. All of us together are trying to keep these words getting out, because you know what, friends, every time this shooting show goes on the air, and it has been difficult. It's been very, as we've said, who knows how many times. It's been difficult on all of us here. It's been very hard on my family. That's okay. That's all right. This is a fight that will not go away. The only way it'll go away is if we absolutely just give in and roll over and just let them do whatever they want to do. And there's some of us that are flatly not going to allow this. You know, we have a number of disabled people that spend a lot of time watching television in the day. And you know what? You folks are very important to us, because, you know, even though you may be physically disabled, you know what? You can still write those letters. You can still make those phone calls. You would have time, whereas a lot of other people who watch our program might not. You would have the time. This is your opportunity to become very important to our cause, because you can absolutely make your efforts with a pen and ink or a typewriter, or certainly send those faxes, make those phone calls. So all you folks that are disabled, let me tell you what, we're very thankful you're here watching our program, because you can be just as important as anybody else. You certainly are just as important. And you can be just as important and effective in this fight as anybody else. Now, friends, if you can, we're here again thanks to your contributions. We're here again this week, and that's how we do it, 1 week at a time. I don't know about next week. I know we're here again today because of your contributions. If you can help us, the shooting show, stay on the air, and we hope that we'll be on long enough where we'll get some breaks and we'll get some more sponsors, and who knows, maybe we can find something we can sell, and we can our project can become self-sustaining. But you know what? Until then, if you can help the shooting show stay on the air, please send whatever you can spare to the shooting show, 327 Urban Rowland Road in Dubberly, Louisiana. That zip code is 71024. If you would like to help sponsor our program or join our support group, you certainly can by calling us at area 318-377-5189. Friends, I tell you what, we were able to get 13083 temporarily stopped because of our efforts. You see, it can be done. It can be done. Nobody really knows what's going to happen to President Slick Willie himself. Nobody really knows. You know, this deal with Monica Lewinsky where he's lied about it, well, none of us are surprised about him lying. But the real things he has done as far as dangerous and damaging, what about allowing the sale of missile technology to China? Whereas now we have Chinese missiles, nuclear-tipped missiles, pointed at cities here in the United States. Now that is a real problem. That is a real tragedy. And so far he's gotten away with it. Nobody knows what the man's capable of. The only way it can be stopped. Listen, he's already made some executive orders, and we don't know how many. We know there are some. As soon as he made the executive order, he immediately classified it. Even Congress hasn't read some of this stuff. Friends, who the heck knows what the man is up to? Who knows what he's already done that may be on the books, and only Congress has the power to overturn it. And since they're classified, even the congressmen have not read some of this stuff he's done. Thankfully, we did find out about this 13083, the travesty it is. But you know what, friends? It's going to take us all. And I'm saying I wish the NRA would get back in the fight, because they've still got 2.8 million members, and I hope Charlton Hess can do something. But right now, it would behoove a lot of us, when you're writing those letters, is to write the NRA and say, hey, what are you people doing up there? You're taking all this money, raising all this money. What are you doing when you're not winning battles? See, they did not support Senator Smith's efforts to keep the FBI from retaining our records. They did not support Senator Smith's efforts to stop the FBI from charging $13 to $25 per NICS check, per gun, an extra tax. See, we ask, why not? Why the heck not? You know what, friends? If you're right in a battle, if you're right, and you believe in your heart what you're doing, and even if you're defeated, you have nothing to be ashamed of, and you still maintain your integrity. And that's what we're short of in Washington, D.C. That's what we're short of, in my opinion, with the NRA. We're short of their integrity. And even if we lose, friends, we fought the good fight. We kept the faith. And you know what? At some point, our descendants are going to look back and say, you know, those years in the late 20th century, the late 1990s, those years were very pivotal on where we are today. And I hope that they can look back and say, hey, I really appreciate what our grandparents did, what our ancestors did in their fight for freedom. I hope they can say that. Right now, I don't know, but we're going to try, friends. We have a great show for you today. Again, if you can help us, because that's how we're here. If you can't help us stay on the air, please, friends, send what you can. We're going to start off with the jungle gun again today. We had a lot of interest from last week's program, because it looks like these are really going to be tremendous shotguns, and for now you can still buy them. The truth of the matter is, a semi-automatic, even a pump shotgun with someone who is fairly skilled operating a pump gun, doesn't take quite as much skill operating the semi-automatic if the gun is reliable. I tell you what, a submachine gun is really not in the same class with what this gun can do. And I understand now that the FBI is rediscovering shotguns, but a lot of us out here around the country may not fully appreciate just what these shotguns can do, and we certainly want to encourage. We have a little piece today with Jim Clark Jr. where he takes a look at the jungle gun here, and I'm so proud because it's made right here in the United States. You know, it's American engineering and ingenuity at its finest. It is much less expensive than some other shotguns which have claimed to be the ultimate shotgun in the past. So we're going to show you that in just a few minutes. What we shot with Jim Clark Jr., and he will give an honest opinion, friends. Let me tell you what, the Clarks do not play. They'll tell you just what they think. So let's go ahead and get another shooting show underway with our jungle gun. We have a whole nest of those vicious water bottles out here. Got a whole nest of them there. Let's see what we can do with the jungle gun. Well, friends, it looks like one got away. Let's go to our handgun. Now then.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, here it is, great Georgia Arms ammunition. Notice these ballistic tip nozzler bullets in this Georgia Arms ammunition. You see, this is equivalent to a box of 20 for only $7.95. Now, friends, that is a terrific price for essentially custom-loaded ammunition. Of course, for the plain full metal jacket, it is much less expensive. Here's another tremendous bag of Georgia Arms ammunition, 7mm Remington Magnum, 20 rounds, only $17.95, loaded with these premium Nosler ballistic tips. I tell you, this is custom ammunition at a discount price. Tell you what, friends, the good people at Georgia Arms do understand what's going on in this country. They understand how important our gun rights are, and they're supporting us on this project. The good news is you can get absolutely superior ammunition at discount prices, whether you have a handgun or a rifle. If you want to take that big hunt, you can afford to practice with your rifle as well as use that same ammunition on the hunt because they are so reasonably priced. These are some of the nicest people we have ever met in this business, bar none, and they're down in beautiful Villa Rica, Georgia. So please, friends, if you would, you can get a free catalog with a free phone call. That's as good as the deal gets. A free catalog, free phone call, 1-800 1-800-624-6861. Again, Georgia Arms, 1-800-624-6861. And please tell them you saw it here on our shooting show.
And friends, let us remind you that Georgia Arms now has factory ammunition with the 45 double action Colt, our own little invention here, the full-size long Colt case with the Schofield rim, which is going to be much nicer to operate in the Winchester and Marlin rifles, a lot nicer working in the double action revolvers, and certainly coming out of the sizing die easier. They have these in loaded ammunition. You can also buy the empty brass from Georgia Arms. Also, our 41 Magnum Defense Special Load. Now there's a new gun, of course, from Smith & Wesson, the 41 Magnum Mountain Gun that we actually asked them if they would consider making last year, and now they are making it. So our 41 Defense Special will be a great cartridge for the new Smith & Wesson Mountain Gun. Plus, Georgia Arms also has the 454 Casull loaded ammunition now. They have 357 SIG, all kinds of neat stuff. And I tell you what, friends, if I wanted ammunition, I would not put it off. I'd try and buy some every chance I got for my guns, whatever I had at home. Give them a call today, 1-800-624-6861. Georgia Arms. Please tell them you saw it here on our show.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're out here today at the Clark Custom Gun Range. Of course, this is Jim Clark Jr., who you've seen many times on our program, and you'll notice the gun he's holding here is the Mossberg Jungle Gun, of course fitted with our 7-round extension that we got from Choate Machine and Tool. And Jim, what are your initial impressions on the Jungle Gun?
Well, so far it looks real good. Of course, the main thing for what I would consider a defensive type gun is the functionability, and the gun's functioning very well. So right off the bat, I like it.
Well, do you think it'll do any good? Of course, you do a lot of aerial shooting, and of course you're known as, you've been several time 3-gun world champion, in fact. And, so we thought Jim Jr. would be an awfully good candidate to take a look at the Jungle Gun because we had so much interest from last week's program. I'll tell you what, Jim, this kind of set our troops on fire.
Good deal. Another thing I do like about it is the feature that some of the other guns we use in combat competition is I like what the safety is, of course, on the Mossberg. To me, this is just much faster if you start on a course where you have to start with the safety on, or in a practical situation where you've got the safety on.
Right.
This is much faster than a finger-mounted safety.
And we're talking, of course, the safety is mounted back here on top of the gun, and it's equally good for a left-handed or right-handed shooter.
Absolutely.
And the way the gun throws empties out in a way, I don't think it'd be difficult for a left-handed shooter to use.
No.
So I tell you what, friends, we're going to get Jim to do a little shooting. And I don't think that this was DEA's idea, an aerial gun. They got these things to use in the jungle down there, and their exercises they do in Central and South America. But it looks pretty good so far, huh, Jim?
Absolutely. Really like it.
Well, what does Mossberg need to do at this point to make it into a competition gun? One, it's reliable. Two, it functions very fast.
Yes.
And we got it down to, it'll run consistently 1,500 between shots. Now, you'll take a master like Jim Jr. or his brother-in-law, Jerry Michalik, and they can actually pull the trigger on most semi-automatic shotguns actually faster than the gun will run. But you think 1,500s would be plenty fast enough for a competition gun?
Oh, absolutely. I've never seen a course of fire where you could index the targets any faster than 1,500s a second. So
that really
even if they're close together, yeah.
So if it can be done with a semi-automatic, we're thinking this Mossberg.
Absolutely.
Now, what about the button on the side loading?
That would be the only drawback as far as a competition gun now. As far as a defensive weapon, it's fine. For a competition gun, say 1187, where the follower is loose and you can load it with sticks, it would be a little more difficult with this one because you would have to hold the button in to load it with the sticks. Other than that, no problem.
And in the normal world, that would not be a condition.
In the normal world, you're going to be hard-pressed to be loading with those sticks.
Well, heck, Jim, let's do a little shooting with the gun.
Okay.
See what it looks like. Now, Jim, you're actually going to be shooting. This is an experiment out here today, friends. We really don't know how this is going to turn out, but you're shooting a heavy trap load, right?
Yeah, it's actually just what I had loaded, and seems to function the gun well, so we're just going to try it with this heavy trap, which of course is an ounce and an eighth 3-gram load.
And friends, the gun is, even in the manual, it says just high performance loads such as buckshot and slugs, but we've had good success in the initial trials with the heavy trap load. So let's just see how the gun performs and some of the things Jim's going to do.
Got a 2-for-1 there. That don't count.
Now, Jim, what kind of stance? We all know positioning is very important with most guns, but what do you face in competition?
Well, of course, what they'll throw at us in combat competition, you don't ever know. You could be shooting through low ports, which would you'd actually have to turn the gun almost sideways or upside down, depending on your flexibility. You might be laying on your back, on your knees. You know, there's just no way to know because you never know what the course of fire is before you get there.
What do you look for in a shotgun stock, or the way one feels or handles? What do you look for?
Normally doing drills like this where I can shoot the birds, where I can throw the gun up and I don't have to move it after I shoulder it. If it comes up nice and smooth and I'm looking down the barrel ahead of time. Of course, shooting aerial targets, I'm not actually looking down the barrel and watching the bird.
What about, how do you like ghost ring sights on a shotgun versus even a simple bead like that?
I'm not a favor of ghost ring sights at all. Possibly if I was shooting some slugs, but not really even then. Just not a favor of them.
So you're saying that with practice you can deal with whatever sight your gun has on it, is that right?
With the shotgun, yes. And if it, like say again, if it fits you right, I'm not actually looking down the barrel to shoot these birds. And I'm not actually looking down the barrel a lot of times when I'm running an assault course. The gun fits me, I'm watching the target, and the gun just comes up between my sight and the target, my eye and the target.
Well, now, of course, we have a standard stock on this gun. How do you like pistol grip stocks? Like some of the Benellis, some folks have the pistol grip stock. What do you think?
I'm not really a favor of that at all. The only thing I could see that a pistol grip stock would be good for is if you were doing entries to where you could hold the gun and possibly push a door. You might be able to hold the gun a little better one-handed with a pistol grip stock. Other than that, I see no use for them.
My friend Jim has loaded our jungle gun here with some tactical buckshot, and we're going to watch his form and function of the gun. Just going to let a few rounds go.
That's low recoil buckshot, and even though in the manual it says use high speed only, it seems to run the low speed quite well.
And Jim, just looking, we could put a timer on that, I suppose, but it sounded like that was pretty darn fast cycling there.
Yeah, the gun seems to run plenty fast enough to shoot anything I'd want to shoot with it.
Well, Jim, I'll tell you what, I appreciate you taking time out to assist us a little bit today. I'm glad you're impressed with the gun, because all of us certainly are.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm always interested in another gas-operated shotgun that I can put an extended tube on, because there's so few of them out there now.
Well, how do you compare this gun to, say, the only other gas gun I'm aware of that really this gun would be in competition with would be the 1187?
Sure. Well, of course, the difference being is you've got a lightweight receiver here, so there's really no way to compare them. It has a little more recoil, but the gun's lighter. So what you give up, you know, make up on the apples or give up on the grapes or something like that.
Well, I like this because you've got a steel washer here, or a steel O-ring rather than any rubber parts in the action. I would see that as an advantage.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll see what Mossberg does with it. Of course, we have a champion shooter out here handling our jungle gun today. Jim, we appreciate it very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Now, friends, here it is. This is the great 1919 Browning converted to semi-automatic from the good people at NWI. This is your chance to own a real piece of history.
They're very collectible. They're also a lot of fun to own and shoot, and very reasonably priced, certainly for what you get. The 1919 Browning is from NWI. That phone number, area 503-429-5001. They also have the ammunition special still going on. 30-06 ammunition, only 18 cents a round, surplus in the belt. So give them a call today, NWI, for the great 1919 Browning conversion. Also remember, they have the A6 conversion with the shoulder stock and the bipod. But these are tremendous pieces of history, also great shooters. So give them a call today, the 1919 Browning from NWI, area 503-429-5001.
Now, friends, we'll remind you that Tim also has a few of the 50 caliber Browning conversions. We're talking conversion here from a full machine gun to semi-automatic. You can still own these guns. Tim will even help you break up your payments so you can afford them. They're still very inexpensive for what you get, a real piece of American history. They also have some ammunition deals, ammo loaded in the belt for these guns. Give them a call today, area 503-429-5001, while there's still time.
Now, friends, you're looking at the first stainless shooting show gun that's waiting to be shipped out to a viewer of the program that bought this gun. This is the stainless classic custom target. And I tell you what, friends, this is a tremendous shooter. Of course, you'll see our standard blued shooting show gun here, and of course one of the compact stainless guns, and the shooting show compact target model. And realize you can only get the compact model with the adjustable sight from us here on the program. This gun's also waiting to be shipped out. And I tell you what, we appreciate so much those viewers who want to support our project and have bought these guns. But let me tell you what, you cannot buy a finer semi-automatic pistol anywhere in the world. Remember, our shooting show guns start at $699 retail, and of course every dime we make on these guns goes to help us keep our program on the air. If you'd like to have a Kimber, but you don't want a shooting show gun, you'd like to spend a little bit less money, well, that's fine. Or you want adjustable sights or fixed sights, whichever your choice may be. You may want a polymer frame gun. They have those too. They have all sorts of options. We're authorized to wholesale the entire Kimber line. Just send us a copy of your FFL, and certainly give us a call. We'll send you a price list, or you can call for information here at the program. The Shooting Show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Duberly, Louisiana. The zip code is 71024. You can call us, area 318-377-5189. Trust me, friends, you will not be disappointed. Friends, you can see how nicely these guns are finished. Of course, the stainless is a real pretty combination. The bevel magazine well, all the extras, the forward serrations on the slide, the front sight that can't come out, these excellent adjustable sights. And we've already shot this gun. All our shooting show guns are going to come with a signed target. That's what we can do for now, because I don't know how many of these shooting show guns we'll sell. They'll probably be collectible before it's over with. But these are such tremendous guns. I think we have 5 rounds in our magazine. Here, we'll go ahead and put it in the gun. Pull that slide back. Let's do a little shooting with it. Let's see what it'll do. Okay, friends, we had 5 rounds in the gun. Let's go check our group here. Yes, indeed, all in the X-ring there. In fact, friends, that's broken there. It's hard for me to get the best groups of the gun cam. That's not too bad. I'll accept that. This is what the gun did at 25 yards. This particular one, we shot it a couple of days ago. A 5-shot group at 25 yards of 1.4 inches, and I think that is tremendous performance from any semi-automatic pistol. That's tremendous performance from a revolver, friends, for a darn good revolver. So any 1911 that can turn in performance like this is just excellent. Like I said, for now, all these guns, the shooting show guns, will be supplied with a signed target that I have personally shot at 25 yards. I will check every one of these guns out inside and out. And the friend of ours who is buying this gun, let me tell you what, he can be proud of it. Now, friends, we're going to look at a very unusual gun. I say unusual because I certainly have not been familiar with one of these little guns. On your left, you'll see the .22 Magnum, which is certainly one of the more high performance, if not the highest performance, .22 rimfire. Next to it, you'll see a CCI Stinger, which is a high performance .22 long rifle. Then we see our standard .22 long rifle, and over on your right you will see the first .22 invented, the .22 short. And I tell you, they look kind of puny, don't they? A little bitty short, believe it or not, during the Civil War. The .22 short, which was the first cased cartridge, actually in the Smith & Wesson revolver, the first practical cartridge and brass case, the little rimfire cartridge there. Believe it or not, the .22 short was used for personal protection by a number of officers in the Civil War, in the Union Army, and I'm probably on the Confederate side if they could get them, because this was a huge advancement, having a case that contained the powder and the projectile. Now then, the little short on the right, and they may be a little potent, or a little more potent than we think. We have a little bitty gun. It's the little Imp, and I suppose that's what it's called. I've never seen one before, but a friend of ours has loaned us this one for the program today, a little Imp revolver. It's a 7-shot revolver in .22 short chambering. Now you see, friends, literally this is a tiny little revolver, and it was made by Imperial Metal Products in looks like Kingston, North Carolina, and it's got IMP on the grip there. And honestly, when I first saw this gun, like I said, a friend of ours has loaned us this, and it was a lady who has this gun for personal protection. And I tell you what, friends, the gun had been in a box or a drawer for years, who knows how long, and it actually wasn't functioning. And I said, well, the thing's a piece of junk. But I tell you what, I put fluid film on it, left it overnight, and we got it working, and the little thing actually works pretty good. Of course, the difference is a little tiny gun like this, a lot of people, a lot of women might carry or have a gun like this for self-defense. And I'm not sure that's such a good idea, because here's what it does. Shooting a little short cartridge, it goes like this, bang, whereas a full-size real revolver here goes like that. But again, for someone who is not a shooter, someone who is unfamiliar with guns, this might not be a bad instructional gun or something to start them off with. The action is somewhat rough. In fact, let me show it to you. Let's take a closer look. I'll show you just how the little gun works. Again, friends, and it shows how tiny the little gun is. My goodness, it's more than covered by the palm of my hand. Believe it or not, like I said, when I first saw this little thing, I said, well, this is junk. But it works. Believe it, like I said, believe it or not. The frame is made out of some kind of alloy zinc or who knows what. It has a steel barrel, a steel center pin here, and a steel cylinder, and of course the hammer, and very rudimentary sights. I'll show you how it works. You pull the center pin out. It's got a little spring-loaded plunger right here in the crane, or where the central part here, because in fact it doesn't really have a crane. And then of course the cylinder comes out, and it's pretty nicely machined, faint and fall out. Has a little indentions there for the little firing pin here, and of course you take your central pin after you shot the gun, and then you can just push the empties out like so. It is a 7-shooter, and again, I'm not too sure if I would want to use this for personal protection, but it is kind of surprising. It's another variation on an inexpensive gun that I'm not familiar with. Thought you folks might like to see it. You know, I imagine a lot of us have guns like this at home in drawers or put up somewhere. And again, I'm not too sure just how good an idea or just what a good idea this would be for self-defense. Let's see if we can hit our disc out there. Remember, put that front sight right on it. Heck, let's see what happens. Well, it hit it. My goodness, that's 1, 2, wiggling the disc a little bit. 3. Whoa, had a miss there. Had another hit. Let's see. Let's put it underneath it. Well, we hit that time. Realize we're way beyond what the little gun's expected to do, friends. Oh, hit it again. So, how many is that? 7? I think so. Let's see if it's going to fire again. Oh, okay. That's 7, and of course, just pull the pin out, and we have 7 fired cartridges, and just punch them out like so. Just push them right out. So, through the gun cam here, this is not the easiest thing, trust me. But let's see, we've got one there, and we've got one next to it. Okay, and there it's ready to be reloaded. Now, as we were saying earlier, friends, my glasses are fogging up down here. Didn't say that earlier, but they are. Anyway, a little tiny gun like this, and I've heard a lot of women say, or maybe daddies buying guns for their daughters, or someone buying a gun for their husband, they'll say, well, look, just want to get her something small, not anything she can really hurt someone with, or just scare them. Wait a minute, friends. If someone is attacking you, do you think that an attacker or a perpetrator says, well, look, I'm just going to try and attack her a little bit. I'll just be a little bit rough. You know, that is so foolish. We say, well, I don't want anything she can hurt somebody with. I just want, let me tell you what, to use this little gun in self-defense, you're going to have to be a better shooter than to use a much bigger .357 or a .45, whichever, because the bigger guns with better actions and more size and better cartridges are so much easier to shoot well. Now, 22 short is no joke. We chronographed this little gun earlier with Winchester and Remington shorts, and they run about 800 feet per second. It looks to be about a 2-inch barrel. And in fact, we've got a 2x4 here, and let's see what happens. Now, the short cartridge is one to be taken seriously in some context. So let's go ahead. Let's shoot our 2x4 here and see what happens. It's wet. I would think would supply a good bit of resistance to a tiny 22 short. Let's see what happens. My friends, we have Winchester shorts in there right now, and yes, I am putting my ear protection in because a little gun like this, even 22 short, is loud enough to hurt your hearing. Well, let's see what happens. Let's shoot it down there a little ways, about right there. Okay, now let's look at our 2x4. Came all the way through. Here's where it came out the other side, right here. A 22 short is to be taken seriously. Let me tell you what, it went through this 2x4 here, and so they might have a little more penetration than you might think. Now, friends, this is a little gun that I would not recommend for defense because, honestly, someone who is enraged, wired up on adrenaline, or is drugged could take a hit from a 22 short somewhere about their person they might not even notice. Now, certainly on a heart shot or possibly a head shot if it penetrated into the brain cavity, and these are kind of grisly things to talk about, but that's what they're for, is for stopping someone. And a little gun like this, you're going to have to be a much, much more skilled shooter, and I mean a bunch more skilled, to hit a small area on a target. That's where the bigger calibers and the hollow point bullets, the 38 specials up, like guns like this .357 Magnum or the .45, they're much more effective on hits anywhere on the body than a tiny 22 short. I don't see this as a fishing box gun because it's not accurate enough to shoot snakes in the head. I see it as a collectible, a plinker, a fun little gun, but not one to be taken seriously for defense. You know what, friends? What's your life worth? How much is it worth? Is it worth enough to have a little gun that will make you feel better? If you don't know much about guns, just having it, you think you might scare someone or something. Well, some people aren't easily scared, and they see a little gun like that, it's not going to get their attention. But they see one of these .357 Magnums, and especially if the gun fired, trust me on this one, it is going to get a bunch more attention. What's your life worth? You know, we put tires on our car, we buy the best food we can, we try and lock up our homes. You know, some people have all kinds of security systems. Well, to me, this is the best personal security system that money can buy, is one of these revolvers, or one of our great Kimber 45s for that matter. And what's your life worth? I mean, is it worth maybe having a $30 gun or a $40 gun in a minor caliber fail on you? or is it worth spending a few $100s and getting a real gun that could, in fact, save your life? So anyway, the little imp, we thought we'd show it to you today. It's certainly interesting, but like I said, it wouldn't be my first choice for defense.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Well, friends, we hope you're enjoying our program today. We certainly appreciate so much you being with us because, you know, every program could be our last one for a while, so that's how we really approach it. And it is so important that we be here today in every show that goes out. A lot of you want to know the number of Choate Machine and Tool Company that made the magazine extension for the Jungle Gun. And that extension is actually for the 5500 Mossberg semi-automatic shotgun, but it works just fine with the Jungle Gun. I did have to shorten the recoil spring or the magazine spring just a little bit, and I did have to modify the special follower that's supplied with that kit, but certainly any of you could do that at home. So you might want to give Choate a call if you'd like one of those magazine extensions. They also have magazine extensions for Remingtons and other guns. You can call them area 800, a free phone call, area 800-972-6390. Again, 800-972-6390. And if you give them a call, they have a great catalog, incidentally. Give them a call. Please tell them you saw it here on the show. They sent us one of those magazine extensions and our gun stock a while back, and just very nice about it. We wish they'd help sponsor our program. They are indeed nice people. We have a number of things we want to talk about today, and again, I want to mention our good friend Bill Lewis down there with Vinyl Tech in Ackworth, Georgia. And Bill is offering these great deals on vinyl siding for your home. Like I said, this is an experiment. He's interested in talking with people if you're in an area around a 100-mile radius or within a 100-mile radius of Atlanta, Georgia. Ackworth is just above Atlanta. And they have deals on these vinyl siding and vinyl windows, certainly easy to clean. Well, let's look briefly. You can take a house that looks like this and literally transform it into a house that looks like this with the Vinyl Tech vinyl siding. And they've cut out a middleman here, friends. This is the same stuff that some of the very large companies are retailing, and honestly, you can save thousands of dollars by dealing with our friend Bill Lewis down there. And of course, these great windows are easy to clean. The vinyl windows systems are just tremendous. So please give our good friend Bill Lewis a call at area 770-529-2829. Again, area 770-529-2829. 529-2829 and tell him that you saw it here on our program, because if he sells some of this stuff off our program, we're going to get a commission on it. So we really don't know how that's going to work. We have a lot of things. Of course, we're very short on time on today's program, but a lot of things we want to make you aware of. In the New American Magazine, they have done a review on Dr. John Lott's book called More Guns, Less Crime. And, you know, he is a professor of law and economics at the University of Chicago, and he has no axe to grind. In fact, he was sort of characterizes himself as being somewhat liberal, but he came up with conclusion after a tremendous amount of research. He says Dr. Lott concludes that preventing law-abiding citizens from carrying handguns does not end violence. It merely makes victims more vulnerable to attack. But will allowing them to carry guns save lives? The answer is yes, it will. Tremendous book there. Friends, I tell you what, we know what this is about. We know what's happening. We know that there are people in our society that want to make us a socialist country. To have socialism, you cannot have an armed population. You cannot. If you want to help us stay on the air, you certainly can, friends, because that's how we're here today. We do it 1 week at a time. If you can send anything you can, certainly you are more than welcome to order one of our Kimber guns through the shooting show here. But if you would like to help our project stay on the air, you certainly can. You can write a check to the shooting show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Duberly, Louisiana. That zip code is 71024. And friends, it is important because that's how we're here today. I want to mention our support group. Dennis Crocker, a firearms trainer there in South Carolina. To get in touch with Dennis, you can give him a call at area 864-587-8722. We have Dennis and Jeannie Ritchie doing all kinds of leather work for custom leather work and saddlery in Denham Springs, Louisiana. That number is area 504-667-9225. And Camouflage Technologies, they paint gun stocks. You can call them at area 909-674-6488. Of course, our good friends Clark Custom Guns here in Louisiana, all kinds of work on revolvers and semi-automatics and Ruger 22 rifles. You can call them area 318-949-9884. Flying Horse Galleries, the folks with the great artwork there on the internet. You can find them at www.flyinghorse.net. And our friend Bruce Warren with BC Armory at area 616-729-5508. Bruce works on semi-automatic pistols and revolvers. Friends, we do appreciate so much you being here with us today, because every program is, again, our voice going out to all of America for what we as gun owners stand for. And trust me on this one, if we don't stand now, we won't worry about being gun owners. We'll be baseball bat owners, or we'll be literally slaves before some of these folks are through. If you can help us, please do. Remember our radio show on the American Freedom Network on SpaceNet 4, channel 19, 5.82 audio on Sundays from noon until 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Certainly would be very pleased for you to listen to our Thinking Right radio show. Also, our gospel show on Sunday morning on Telstar 4, channel 23 from 10 to 10:30 Eastern Time. Friends, again, we're here again this week thanks to your contributions. And please, if you can, help us, because we want to come back again next week. We can with your help. We can make a difference with your help, friends. Somebody has got to tell the truth. That's what we're doing here today. We hope to see you on the next shooting show.